Dilute solutions, colligative properties, part 4, presented by G. Satyanarayana, Assistant Professor, Dr. B.R.R. Government College, Jarchala. In this lesson, we discuss about the concept of elevation of boiling point, relation between the elevation of boiling point and molecular mass, its derivation, relation between the elevation of boiling point and the relative lowering of vapor pressure, and we also solve some problems. So what is meaning of boiling point? So it is defined as the temperature at which the vapor pressure of liquid becomes equal to external pressure is called boiling point. External pressure means here maybe atmospheric pressure. So the temperature at which the vapor pressure of liquid becomes equal to the external pressure, that temperature is called as boiling point. For example, in case of water, the boiling point of water, we know that it is 100 degrees centigrade or 373 Kelvin. So at 100 degrees centigrade, the vapor pressure of water becomes equal to external atmospheric pressure. Under these conditions, the liquid and vapor will exist in equilibrium. Liquid and vapor will exist in equilibrium. The vapor pressure of the liquid will be exactly equal to the external pressure which we have applied or which it is there. So in case of water, the boiling point is 100 degrees centigrade. In case of benzene, it is 80 degrees centigrade. Means in case of benzene, it is 80 degrees centigrade means at 80 degrees centigrade, the vapor pressure of benzene becomes equal to atmospheric pressure. Like that, we can define the boiling point. So what is meaning of elevation of boiling point? Since we are discussing the colligative properties, when a non-volatile solute is dissolved in liquid solvent, what happens? The boiling point of the solution will increases or boiling point of the solvent increases. That we call it as elevation of boiling point. So when a water, for example, when water is there, its boiling point is 100 degrees centigrade under 1 atmosphere pressure. If 10 grams of glucose is dissolved in that water, means we are dissolving a non-volatile solute in that water. When you dissolve 10 grams of non-volatile solute, that is glucose in the water, and if you observe the boiling point of that water in solution, it will be more than 100 degrees centigrade. Means due to addition of non-volatile solute, the boiling point is increasing. For example, the boiling point increases from 100 to 101 degrees centigrade. 100 is the boiling point of pure water, 101 is the boiling point of the aqueous solution containing non-volatile solute. So what is the difference between these two values? It is 101 minus 100. 101 minus 100. So 1 degree centigrade. That 1 degree centigrade we call it as elevation of boiling point. That is extent of increase in the boiling point of solvent. It is due to addition of non-volatile solute is called elevation of boiling point. How it is calculated? It is calculated from this formula. What is the formula? Boiling point of the solution minus boiling point of solvent. Boiling point of the solution minus boiling point of the solvent. If the boiling point of the solution is Tb and the boiling point of solvent is T, so we can calculate the boiling point of elevation of boiling point. So the elevation of boiling point is this elevation of boiling point, we can say is delta Tb is equal to Tb minus T. What is Tb? Tb is the boiling point of the solution, T is the boiling point of solvent. Here we have to is it solution and solvent. So it is represented by elevation of boiling point is represented by delta Tb. So what is delta Tb? It is elevation of boiling point. Right. So here one question. What is that question? Why TB is greater than T? Why the boiling point of solution increases due to addition of non-volatile solute? That's the question. So we can give the answer for it like this. We know the vapor pressures of pure solvent and solution. The vapor pressure of pure solvent is P naught and the vapor pressure of solution is P. We know that P naught is greater than P. P naught is greater than P. Means the vapor pressure of solvent will be greater than the vapor pressure of solution. So in order to see the boiling point, observe the boiling point, the vapor pressure of these liquids in two systems, one is the solution and solvent, should be equal to external pressure. So which is having the highest vapor pressure? Solvent is having the highest vapor pressure. That's why it can becomes equal to the external pressure very easy for supply of small amount of heat compared to the solution. Is it? Means in the solution, in the case of solution, the vapor pressure is less. That's why more heat is required to equate its vapor pressure to the external pressure. That's why solution boils at high temperature compared to the solvent. Means here we have given the reason. See here, P naught is greater than P. Means this vapor pressure is greater. It's the case of pure solvent. Vapor pressure of pure solvent, it is greater. That's why it can be easily becomes equal to the external. Easily means, I mean, small amount of heat is required to equate this to the external pressure. But whereas in this case of solution, it is less. It is less. So more heat is required to equate this vapor pressure to the external pressure. Is it? So that's why whenever a non-volatile solute is dissolved in a solvent, liquid solvent, what happens? The boiling point will increases. Boiling point will increases. So elevation of boiling point can be calculated from this formula. What is the formula? Delta TB is equal to boiling point of solution minus boiling point of pure solvent. Is it okay? So this is meaning of elevation of boiling point. Suppose if we dissolve more and more quantity of solute, non-volatile solute in the liquid solvent, then what happens? Vapor pressure further decreases. The vapor pressure of solvent further decreases. It decreases. So that more heat is required to equate the vapor pressure of the solution to the external pressure. So the solution will boil at higher temperature. Means as the amount of non-volatile solute increase, as the number of moles of non-volatile solute increase, or as the number of particles of non-volatile solute increase in the solution, the boiling point also increases. And elevation of boiling point will be also increased. That's why we say the elevation of boiling point is a colligative property. Is it? So elevation of boiling point is a colligative property because it is directly proportional to number of particles of non-volatile solute. As the non-volatile solute particles increases, vapor pressure decreases. So more heat is required to equate this vapor pressure to the external pressure. So more will be the boiling point. And if you see the difference of TB minus T, it will be further increases. So TB minus T is directly proportional to number of particles of solute. That's why we say the elevation of boiling point is a colligative property. Next you can see here is it. Graphically we are explaining the elevation of boiling point. How is it? The graph is drawn between the vapor pressure versus temperature. We know that the vapor pressure curve is an exponential curve. Means as the temperature increases, what happened? The vapor pressure of solution or liquid will gradually increase exponentially. So this is for solvent. For example, at a particular temperature, if we consider this a particular temperature, here you can see the vapor pressure of solution P naught, vapor pressure of solvent. Sorry, this is vapor pressure of solvent P naught. This is P naught, vapor pressure of solvent P naught. Whereas this is the vapor pressure of solution P, which is greater. P naught is greater than P. And we can see at any point, you can understand this concept from this graph. P naught will be greater than P, is it? So at any temperature, if you consider a solution and solvent, a solution will have the lower pressure, vapor pressure compared to the solvent. Thus we can observe in this graph. So as the temperature increases, what happened? The vapor pressure also increasing exponentially. Like this, in case of solvent, you say as the temperature increases, vapor pressure increases, finally it becomes equal to external pressure. What is the external pressure taken here? 760 mm. So this point, this temperature at which the vapor pressure of liquid becomes equal to external pressure is called its boiling point. So T0 is the boiling point of pure solvent. So in this solvent, you have dissolved the non-volatile solute. So to prepare the solution, the vapor pressure of solution will be somewhat less compared to the vapor pressure of solvent. That's why this curve, the curve belongs to solution, will be in the lower position compared to the solvent. So as the temperature increases, what happened? Vapor pressure also increases exponentially in case of solution. Now it becomes equal to the external pressures, that is 760 mm, 1 atmosphere. So concerned the temperature, you can see here, this is the vapor boiling point of solution. This is the boiling point of solvent. So which is greater? Boiling point of solution is greater than the boiling point of solvent. So the difference between these two temperatures, this part is called, we say it is elevation of boiling point, delta TB we call it as elevation of boiling point. This difference is called elevation of boiling point. So we can represent, we can explain the elevation of boiling point with the help of the graph of vapor pressure versus temperature. Okay. Next, let me derive the relationship between the elevation of boiling point and molecular weight of solute. How can we derive that? Is again we use the concepts of thermodynamics here. Okay, let me see the derivation part. At a given temperature and pressure, the liquid phase and vapor phase of solvent in the solution will be in equilibrium, is it? Whenever a liquid is taken, so that what happened, it will evaporate. The space which is above the liquid will be filled by the vapors of solvents, and again they will condense to convert into liquid. Means there exists a reversible process. What is the reversible process? Forward is the evaporation, second will be the backward will be the condensation. When the rate of evaporation becomes equal to rate of condensation, then the pressure exerted on the surface of liquid, we call it as vapor pressure. So this state is called liquid vapor equilibrium. So in liquid vapor equilibrium, what happened? The vapor pressure of the solution or solvent remains constant. So under these conditions, chemical potential of liquid will be exactly equal to chemical potential of vapor. At liquid vapor equilibrium, what happens? The chemical potential of solvent in liquid phase, mu1 represent chemical potential of solvent, you remember. Mu2 represent chemical potential of solute. Here we are talking about the solvent, because solute cannot evaporate, it is non-volatile solute. So mu1 in liquid state, that is equal to mu1 in vapor state. Chemical potential of solvent in liquid state will be equal to chemical potential of that solvent in vapor state. It happens at under which conditions? Liquid vapor equilibrium. So change in chemical potentials of the liquid and vapor phases will change the temperature and will be equal at equilibrium. So from this equation we can write it, d mu1 L. L means liquid phase, that is equal to d mu1 of vapor phase. What is d mu1? It is a change in chemical potential of liquid phase, that is solvent, in liquid phase is equal to change in chemical potential of solvent in vapor phase. But the chemical potential of liquid solvent is a function of temperature, pressure and composition. The chemical potential of a liquid solvent is a function of temperature, pressure and composition, whereas the chemical potential of solvent in vapor phase, V1V, vapor phase, is a function of temperature and pressure only, because the vapor is containing only the solvent. Only one component is present in the vapor phase, not the solute, only the solvent is there. But in the solution, we have two components. One is a solvent as well as solute. That's why the vapor pressure, that is a chemical change, chemical potential of solvent in liquid phase will depends on composition, whereas the chemical potential of the solvent in vapor phase does not depends on the composition. That's why mu1L is equal to f of T comma P and x1. They're a function of temperature, pressure and composition. Whereas mu1V is equal to function of temperature and pressure. Is it? So here what we have discussed, at liquid vapor equilibrium, the chemical potential of liquid solvent will be exactly equal to chemical potential of vapor solvent. Next, under that condition, change in the chemical potential of liquid solvent will be exactly equal to change in chemical potential of vapor solvent. Okay. Next, the chemical potential of liquid solvent is a function of temperature, pressure and composition in solution, where the chemical potential of the vapor solvent is a function of only temperature and pressure. Okay, so next we see, let me consider the liquid phase. In case of liquid phase, we know that mu1L is a function of temperature, pressure and composition. This is equation number 1. Let you calculate change in chemical potential of liquid solvent. mu1L is equal to f of T comma P comma x1. Let you calculate the change or differentiating this one. So d mu1L is equal to, we are carrying the partial differentiation for the remaining function towards RHS, because this function depends on different variables. So d mu1L is equal to, so in first part what we are doing, the pressure and composition are kept constant and we are differentiating with respect to T. That's why d mu1L by dt at constant pressure and composition into dt plus. Okay, we are doing the partial differentiation. Next, second one, temperature and x1 kept constant, here you can see, and we are differentiating with respect to P, means du mu1L divided by dP, or dou mu1 divided by dou P into dP. That is second term. Next, what is the third term? The third term is you have to keep this temperature and pressure constant and you have to differentiate with respect to x1. So plus dou mu1 divided by dou x1 at constant temperature and pressure into dx1. That's it. We are calculating the change in chemical potential of liquid solvent. This is the equation we got it. So when we are differentiating with respect to a term, remaining should be constants. Partial differentiation we are carrying. Therefore, d mu in liquid state into dt. So we have ordered. Next, the second part you can see dou mu1 divided by dou P at constant temperature and composition. This is equal to partial molar value, means V1 bar. This part is nothing but V1 bar in liquid state. So we are writing this part V1 bar into dP. dP you have. Next, remaining as it is we are writing. So we are substituting for first two terms. One is dou mu1 L divided by dou T at constant pressure and composition is minus S1 bar. Next, second one you see dou mu1 L divided by dou P at constant temperature and composition is nothing but partial molar volume V1 bar. So remaining term we are writing as it is. From thermodynamics we can substitute this. Okay, this is from the liquid phase. Let you consider vapor phase. We know that the vapor phase, in vapor phase, the chemical potential of vapor depends only on temperature and pressure. It is a function of temperature and pressure only. So dou mu1V, we are calculating the change now. We are differentiating this equation, again partial differentiation. Is it? So here what we are doing, you see, it is dou mu1V divided by dou T into dou T. Here only pressure has to be kept constant. Pressure, this is not there. Pressure has to be kept constant. It is only the vapor pressure, it is a composition of vapor, only one term is there. Next, second is keep the temperature constant and differentiating with respect to dP. Dou mu1 by dou P into dP. So what is dou mu1 by dou T at constant pressure? How much? Partial molar volume of that vapor. So V1 bar in vapor phase to dP. This is equation number 4. Right. So in case of liquid phase, in case of vapor phase, we have calculated the change in chemical potentials. Right. Now at equilibrium, both of these are becomes equal. Means equation number 2 is equal to equation number 4. So let you equate these. When you equate this, you see minus S1 bar in liquid phase dt plus V1 bar liquid phase dP plus dou mu1 by dou x1 in liquid phase at constant pressure and temperature into dx1, that is equal to this equation now, minus S1 bar vapor phase into dt plus V1 bar vapor phase into dP. Means we are equating those both, d mu1 in liquid phase, d mu1 in vapor phase. So again we are considering the same equation here, no new thing, is the same equation. So let you put all the entropy terms together and volume terms together. Okay, like that we are shifting this towards LHS, whereas this we are shifting towards RHS. So after shifting this, we got common S1 bar in vapor phase minus S1 bar in liquid phase into dt plus V1 bar in liquid phase minus V1 bar in vapor phase into dP. That is equal to, we are shifting this term in opposite direction. That's why this part becomes what? How it will becomes minus. Here you can see minus. Right. So we are just rearranging that equation. What is this difference? It is partial molar entropy. Partial molar entropy of liquid minus partial molar entropy of vapor phase minus partial molar entropy of liquid phase of the solvent. This difference is nothing but, here you can write this is a difference. What is this one again? It is partial molar volume of the liquid minus partial molar volume of the vapor. Okay. But at constant pressure, because at equilibrium the pressure remains constant, that's why dP becomes equal to 0. So this term becomes 0. This term becomes what? 0. This term becomes 0. When this term becomes 0, then what happened? You see S1 bar V minus S1 bar L into dt is equal to remaining part minus dou mu1 by dou x1 into constant pressure, temperature and dx1. So here we have calculated the difference of partial molar entropies of vapor and liquid. So we are representing it by delta S bar V dt is equal to dou mu1 by dou x1 constant pressure and temperature and dx1. This is equation number 5. So we have to see about this part. In order to get representation for this part, now you consider this equation. Mu1 is equal to mu naught 1 plus RT log x1. You know that this is also from thermodynamics. Let you differentiate with respect to dx1. So when you differentiate this with respect to dx1, dou mu1 by dou x1 at constant pressure and temperature will be equal to, this is a constant, due to differentiate it becomes 0. The remaining part becomes what? RT by dx1 into d log x1. Means simply we are multiplying this equation by dou dx at both sides. It is dou by dx at both sides, the d mu1 divided by dx1. So this becomes 0. So remaining part will be x1. What is the remaining part? D mu1 by dx1 is equal to RT by dx1 d log x1. Okay. Next, go further. D mu1 by dx1 is equal to RT by x1. Now let you substitute this. Means here you can see this value. This is RT d log x1 by dx1. With RT d log x1 by dx1 will be equal to RT by x1. So let me substitute delta SV RT is equal to, we are introducing this again, minus RT by x1 into dx1. See, instead of this part you are writing now. How much this is? This is RT by x1. So you write RT by x1 into dx1. RT by x1 into dx1. So minus is there. So seventh equation is the final equation, we got it. Because dx1 by x1 is log x1. So delta SV bar into dt is equal to minus RT d log x1. What is delta SV bar? It is a change in entropy, molar or partial molar entropy of the vapor and liquid. But delta SV bar is equal to, again from the entropy concept, what we can write it is minus delta H bar by T, because delta S is equal to delta H by T. We know that formula. Delta S, change in entropy, will be equal to change in enthalpy divided by temperature, absolute temperature. Same thing we are observing. So let introduce this delta H vaporization term in this equation 7. So we are substituting this one. On substituting, you see again what we got: delta H vaporization by T dot dt is equal to minus RT d log x1. Okay, or you write equation for d log x1, that is equal to delta HV by RT square into dt. So let you integrate this equation with respect to the limits of what here. This is the dt, temperature term is variable. Here d log x1. X1 means the mole fraction of solvent. So what are the limits? The limits are from Tb to T and from 1 to x1. I think this will be the from T to Tb. It is, sorry, this T to Tb or T0 to Tb. When T0 is there, it is a pure solvent, it is a boiling point of pure solvent, so that mole fraction of solvent becomes equal to 1, only one component is there. When a non-volatile solute is dissolved in it, so that what happened, the boiling point increases, so it is final state is Tb, then the mole fraction of solvent in the solution reaches to x1. So we are integrating this equation with respect to this one. So integral of d log x1 is nothing but, you see, log x1, and we are applying the limits 1 to x1. Log 1 is equal to 0. That's why we are writing log x1 is equal to minus delta H vaporization by R, and again you are substituting the upper and lower limits, is it? So it will be minus 1 by T minus 1 by Tb, 1 by T minus 1 by Tb, is it? So now it becomes equal to what? Minus delta H vaporization by R into Tb minus T by, so you are calculating the LCM here. When you calculate the LCM, Tb minus T divided by T into Tb. Okay, log x1 is equal to, again, Tb minus T is nothing but delta Tb. Change in, what is that, boiling points of the solution and solvent. And T and Tb are approximately equal to, very near to each other, so that it can be written as Tb square or T square. So simply T square. Okay, so log x1 is equal to minus delta H vaporization, means partial molar enthalpies now we are neglecting. We are calculating it as only the enthalpy change, which we call this as enthalpy of molar enthalpy of vaporization, molar enthalpy of vaporization. So minus delta H vaporization by R into delta Tb by T into Tb. So what is x1 again? This log x1 can be written as log 1 minus x2, because the sum of mole fractions is equal to 1. x1 plus x2 is equal to 1. That's why instead of x1 we are writing 1 minus x2. So log x1 is equal to log 1 minus x2. We know that expansion of this log 1 minus x2 will be approximately equal to minus x2. Let you put minus x2 here. So you can write it as x2 minus x2. This will be the minus x2. If you put it, what happened? The minus and minus will get cancelled. And you write equation for delta Tb. So delta Tb is equal to, it is approximately equal to, both of them are equal approximately. So we are writing T square. So delta Tb is equal to RT square into x2 divided by delta H vaporization. If you write equation for delta Tb, you can see that delta T and Tb are approximately equal. So you can write T square. So delta Tb is equal to RT square by delta H vaporization to x2. Okay, x2 means, again, in case of dilute solution, n2 by n1. Here you can write it n2 by n1. So this is the final equation, we got it. This equation gives a relationship between elevation of boiling point and mole fraction of, what is that, solute, is it? Mole fraction of solute, is it? Right, so what we have derived, you see, once again, just to go through it. For liquid phase, mu1L is a function of temperature and pressure and x1. Now we are doing the partial differentiation to calculate the change in chemical potential of the liquid phase. We got this equation here. d mu1 by dou mu1 by dou T at constant pressure, and x1 is partial molar entropy minus S1, partial molar entropy into dt. Similarly, this part is partial molar volume V1 bar into dP, and same thing. For vapor phase, this is the function. We are doing partial differentiation. So, d mu1 vapor phase is equal to d mu1 by dt at constant pressure to dt, and d mu1 by dP at constant temperature into dP. But this term is nothing but partial molar entropy of vapor, partial molar volume of vapor. Now at equilibrium, both of these are equal. So we are equating these two equations. Right. After that, after equating, let you bring all the partial molar volumes and partial molar entropy terms together, and shift this d mu1 by dx1 and dx in opposite direction. Okay. Then this dP becomes equal to 0 because it is taken a constant pressure. Now this is taken as what? Delta SV bar dt. Next, dou mu1 by dou x1 at constant pressure and temperature, and dx1. And we are evaluating this value with help of this equation. Mu1 is equal to mu naught 1 plus RT log x1. We are differentiating with respect to d by dx1. So we get this equation. And then we substitute in that equation. So after substituting, we got this equation, is it? Okay, then we are writing d minus RT by x1 d by dx. This dx1 by x can be written as d log x1. Okay, so but we know that delta SV is equal to delta H by T. We are introducing this term here. It becomes delta HV by T dt is equal to minus RT d log x1. Okay, so you write equation for d log x1, that is equal to minus delta HV by RT square into dt. What is delta HV? It is molar enthalpy of vaporization. So then you integrate this equation with the limits of 1 to x1 for mole fractions and T to Tb for temperature terms. On integrating this equation, we got this one. Log x1 is equal to minus delta HV by R into 1 by T minus 1 by Tb. Okay, so log x1, again we can write it as minus log 1 minus x2 is equal to minus x2. So instead of this, you are writing minus x2. And minus and minus will get cancelled. And T and Tb are approximately equal. That's why we can write delta Tb is equal to, after writing equation for delta Tb from this equation, delta Tb is equal to RT square by delta H vaporization into x2. Or x2 can be written as N2 by N1 for dilute solutions. So based on the concept of chemical potential, we are deriving the equation. We have established the equation between the elevation of boiling point and mole fraction of solute. That you have to remember, is it? Okay, so this is the equation we got. Now x2 can be written as N2 by N1, means number of moles are converted now into weight by molecular weight terms. So W2 by M2, this is N2. W1 by M1, this is N1. We are introducing the weight and molecular weight terms instead of x2. Is it okay? So N2 means W2 by M2. N1 means W1 by M1. So it will divided by denominator in the denominator, that will shift it to the numerator. So delta T is equal to RT square by delta H vaporization into capital M into small m. Because x2 can be also introduced in terms of, can be written in terms of molality. x2 is equal to molality into capital M1. Capital M1 is the molecular weight of solvent. So instead of these x2, we can also write M1 into small m. So here we can find a constant for a given solution. What is the constant? You see, R is a universal gas constant, T is the boiling point of the solvent, M1 is the molecular weight of the solvent, delta H vaporization will be the constant at given temperature. That's why everything is constant in this equation except small m. That's why this can be written as Kb. So delta Tb is equal to Kb into molality. So this term is represented by Kb. What is Kb? Kb is called as ebuloscopic constant or molar boiling point elevation constant. It is called as ebuloscopic constant or molar boiling point constant. That's why Kb, what is the equation for Kb? RT square capital M1 by delta H evaporation. R is the universal gas constant. T is the boiling point of solvent. Capital M is the molecular weight of solvent. Delta H vaporization is the molar enthalpy of evaporation of the solvent. Everything belongs to solvent. So Kb depends only on the nature of solvent. Kb depends on nature of the solvent which is present in the solution. It is independent of nature of solute. It will not depend on the solute. Only it depends on solvent. That you have to remember. Kb is called ebuloscopic constant or molar boiling point elevation constant. From this, what are the units of this Kb? We get Kelvin kilogram mole inverse. Kelvin kilogram mole inverse is the units of ebuloscopic constant. Okay, so how can we define this Kb? Kb can be defined like this. You see, under this condition, Kb can be defined. If molality is 1, means if the molality of the solution is 1, small m, then what happened? Delta Tb is equal to Kb. Under this condition, we can define the Kb. Kb is defined as ebuloscopic constant or molar boiling point elevation constant can be defined as it is the elevation of boiling point. The elevation of boiling point. The elevation of boiling point of 1 molar solution. Elevation of boiling point of 1 molar solution is called as ebuloscopic constant. Is it clear? What is ebuloscopic constant? It is molar, that is the elevation of boiling point of molar solution. Simply we say elevation of boiling point of molar solution is called ebuloscopic constant. What is the formula to calculate Kb? RT square capital M1 divided by delta H vaporization. Everything belongs to solvent only. Capital T boiling point of solvent, capital M molecular weight of solvent, delta H vaporization. It is a molar enthalpy change of vaporization. So units will be Kelvin, kilogram and mole inverse. Like that we can define the ebuloscopic constant also. Okay, next we see the relation between the elevation of boiling point and LVP. What is the relation? Lowering of vapor, relation between the elevation of boiling point and lowering of vapor pressure. This is a graph we have taken. This is a graph. In this graph, 3 curves are shown. The first curve represents the solvent. In this, a small amount of solute is non-volatile solute dissolved, let's say. So solution is formed. This is the curve taken for solution 1, let's say. Next, this is the curve shown for solution 2. It is more concentrated because the vapor pressure further decreasing. You can observe, is it? This is the vapor pressure of solvent, the vapor pressure of first solution, vapor pressure of second solution. The second solution is more concentrated. That's why the vapor pressure further decreasing. That you can see here, is it? Like that. So this is a solvent curve. This is a solution vapor pressure curve. Solution 1 vapor pressure curve. This is a solution 2 vapor pressure curve. Right. So we are observing the relation between the boiling points and the vapor pressure. So what is the boiling point of the solvent? It is external pressure. Okay. The boiling point of external pressure is 1 atmosphere. Let's say it is 1 bar or 1 atmosphere. 1 bar. So its temperature is taken on x-axis, vapor pressure on y-axis. So as the temperature increases, the vapor pressure gradually increases in case of solvent and becomes equal to external pressure. So what is the boiling point of solvent? T0 is the boiling point of solvent. Okay. Next. In case of solution 1, again, as the temperature increases, vapor pressure increases exponentially and finally becomes equal to external pressure. This is 1 atmosphere or 1 bar, let's say 1 bar at B. So this is the boiling point of solution 1, T1. You see T1 is greater than T0. You can observe here. Similarly, for concentrated solution, solution 2, vapor pressure gradually increasing and it becomes equal to external pressure at C point. So what is the boiling point of solution to? T2 is the boiling point of solution. Further, you can see increasing, boiling point is increasing. We know that T1 minus T0 is, this difference is difference between these two is delta T1. And T2 minus T0, let me say it is delta T2. This is the elevation of boiling point of second solution. This is the elevation of boiling point of the first solution. This is elevation of boiling difference is this difference between T1 and T0 is the elevation of boiling point of first solution, and the difference between the boiling point of second solution and the boiling point of solvent is delta T2, let me say. This is only the representations we use in our derivation process, is it? So this is the curve. We can understand the relation between the vapor pressures and boiling points. We can understand this. Right, so in this diagram, triangle ADB and ACE are similar triangles. ADB, this one, triangle ADB. So a part of the curve is approximately taken as straight line, you see. A part of the curve is approximately equal to, if you see, this is approximately a straight line. That's why this triangle ABD, what is the next one? The next triangle is, another triangle is ACE, this one. These two triangles are similar triangles. So according to the properties of similar triangles, we can write this one, AB divided by this part, AB divided by AC, AB divided by AC. Is it AB divided by this AB divided by AC is equal to AD divided by AE, it will be this one, AD divided by AE we can write. Means ratio between the sides, similar sides will be equal to the properties of similar triangles. AB by AC is equal to AD by AE. So let you see for AB, what is AB in this? What is AB given? AB is nothing but it is T1 minus T0. This is AB. Are you observing here? AB is it. Right. Next, so it is T1 minus T0. Then you see about the AC. AC is nothing but what? This one AC. It is equal to nothing. This one part and T2 minus T1, T0. So T1 minus T0 by T2 minus T0 is equal to AD. AD is nothing but P0 minus P1. This part. P0 minus P1 divided by AE. AE means this one. It is P0 minus P2. So this is delta T1 divided by delta T2 is equal to delta P1 divided by delta P2. Delta T1, elevation of boiling point of the first solution divided by elevation of boiling point of the second solution is equal to LVP of first solution divided by LVP of second solution. So then what will be the relation between these? Now the relation will be delta T is directly proportional to delta P. Delta T is be directly proportional to delta P. We can see that is a relation. So how the elevation of boiling point and lowering of vapor pressure are related? The elevation of boiling point and lowering of vapor pressure related as directly proportional. Greater the lowering of vapor pressure, greater will be the elevation of boiling point. When we observe the greater the lowering of vapor pressure, when the number of solute particles are more in the solution, we observe more LVP, so that more elevation of boiling point. Like this also we can prove that delta P, delta T are colligative properties. These both of them are colligative properties. We can prove that is it. Very easy we can prove with the help of this one. Like this we have shown the relation between the elevation of boiling point and lowering of vapor pressure. And further we can derive the equation here. Delta T is directly proportional to delta P. Just now we have seen in the graph. But delta T is directly proportional to, we can write delta P by P naught. Why? Because P naught is also a constant. When delta T is directly proportional to delta P, since P naught is a constant, it will be also directly proportional to delta P by P naught. What is delta P by P naught? It is RLVP, relative lowering of vapor pressure. So from Raoult's law, this relative lowering of vapor pressure will be equal to small w by small m into capital M by capital W. It is nothing but N2 by N1. Is it clear? N2 by N1. Like that. So we are introducing here. So delta T is directly proportional to small w small m by small m capital W. Instead of this, we are writing what? This N2 by N1 we are writing. So remove the proportionality constant. So we add is equal to, so delta T is equal to, delta T is nothing but elevation of boiling point is equal to K constant into small w capital M by small m capital W. Remember, small letters are given for solute. Capital letters are given for solvent. Small w, weight of solute in grams. Small m, molecular weight of solute in grams. Capital M, molecular weight of solvent in grams. Capital W, weight of solvent in grams. So delta T is equal to K into, let you multiply and divided by 1000, because our target is to introduce molality term in this. Molality term. That's why you multiply and divide it by 1000. There will be no change in value. After that, you see this value, small w by small m means small w by small m into 1000 divided by capital W. This part represents small m, molality. So we can write the molality term here. So delta T is equal to K into, what are the remaining factor? K into capital M by 1000. K into capital M by 1000 into molality. Small m is the molality. K is a constant, M is the molecular weight of solvent, and 1000 is also a constant, means this total part is a constant which belongs to the solvent again. So this can be again will be written as Kb. With help of graph you are writing it. Kb. So let you write delta Tb is equal to now Kb into small m. So from this discussion, what will be the Kb? Kb is equal to K into capital M by 1000. And previously from thermodynamics, we have seen this delta Tb is equal to RT square by delta H vaporization into M1 into M. So here this will be the Kb. So Kb is equal to RT square by delta H vaporization into capital M1. Like this, we can prove the relationship between the elevation of boiling point and molality of solution. The elevation of boiling point and molality, both of them are directly proportional. So ebullioscopic constant, it is the elevation of boiling point of 1 mole solution. These things we have discussed. So what we have discussed? One, what is meaning of boiling point? Second one, what is meaning of elevation of boiling point and reason for it. Tb is greater than T naught because P naught is greater than P, that we have explained. Third one is, we have discussed the derivation of relationship between the delta Tb and molality with help of thermodynamics. Third one, we have seen the relation between delta Tb and LVP, and based on that also have established the relation between delta Tb and molality of solution. Meanwhile, here we can also observe the equation for Kb. In next class, we will solve some problems and discuss some more about the colligative properties. Thank you.